In Mayor Battle's first year in office, the city of Huntsville was named the #1 city in America by Kiplinger's Personal Finance for 2009 and received a historic AAA bond rating by Standard & Poor's, the highest bond rating given and the first in Alabama state history. Those highs were reached again in 2010 when Huntsville was named as the #1 city in the nation by Relocate America and again received the AAA bond rating by both S&P and Moody's, an incredible feat and one that is accomplished by less than 2% of city, county, and state governments throughout the nation. Earlier this year, the city broke ground on the $1 billion Redstone Gateway development, showing that under Mayor Battle, private business continues to invest in Huntsville. The mayor has been married to the former Eula Salmons for over 20 years. She is a retired kindergarten teacher from the county schools and was honored as Madison County Teacher of the Year in 2000. They have one son, Andrew Joseph, who goes by Drew, who is a banker with Progress Bank here in Huntsville.
And the Energy Huntsville is especially like that. We started off this effort back in, what was it, Dale? June? In June of this year. And it kind of was a spin-off of our Cyber Huntsville initiative that we got started 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we're sitting here at SMDC, and General James Cartwright is talking to us, and he's talking to us about this thing called cyber. And I did what mayors do. I looked very stern and very wise, and I nodded a whole lot. And as soon as we got out, I started Googling cyber and saying, what is cyber? And then I started talking to some of our good friends in industry and asking them about where we need to go with cyber and what we needed to do as a community to promote the cyber aspects of everything that we did. And it became real obvious that that fit very well and leveraged very well with what this community does. When you have more degree professionals and engineers per capita than anywhere else in the U.S., that fits with what you want to do in the cyber world. Our leverage from the cyber world meant that a lot of people used all components that were used in what we do here, whether it's a navigation component, whether it's a propulsion component, whether it's a communication component, whether it's any of the other components that you use, miniaturization component, all of it tied into that cyber world, and that we could leverage our work in cyber back into Space and Missile Defense, back into Missile Defense Agency. Same thing happened about a couple months later when we started talking about energy and where we needed to go with energy. We started off as the city of Huntsville with a Green 13 initiative, and we had a group of about 60 volunteers from throughout our community who came together, and they kind of gave us a focus about where our community needed to go with our energy programs, how we could have more conservation, how we could have, how we could even work on promoting energy, and how we could even produce energy in our county and in our area. And that was even brought home a little bit clearer when we had the tornadoes of August 27th. The tornadoes came through. Many of y'all remember we were without power from 7 to 10 days, and it became very, very obvious to us that we needed to have a generation policy, a cogeneration policy that would set up to be able to help us work, have energy in some of our crucial industrial elements, and one of those crucial industrial elements is space and missile defense. You know, we all look at these big buildings, and we've got a big building over at City Hall, and we've got a huge generator sitting there, and I look at that and I say, man, that should be able to power a trip to the moon and back. Well, in reality, when you crank that thing up, it can power some of your basics that you need, but it doesn't crank up enough to let you survive during an energy crisis. And that's what we were in on August 27th. So that kind of brought home to all of us, even though we had started our energy effort, that the energy effort is one that leverages into what we as Huntsville need to do. And that energy effort has been led by Dale Jones, by about another 100 volunteers throughout the community. And in a minute, we'll show you kind of the structure of how they've set up. Now, your real question comes to, you know, why does Huntsville Energy affect SMDC? Why does it affect Space and Missile Defense? And again, I say it comes back to the same argument we had with the cyber. It comes back to leverage. If we can go out and we can find a battery-powered source that can cut the peak shave that we have to have for energy production, where you can produce at night, store up in batteries, and then put that energy back out in the morning, and it cuts that peak shave of how much production power you have to have at one point. We've done something there, but then take it again. If we take that battery and we take that battery technology that's there and we put it on a platform, and we're looking at a laser platform, all of a sudden we've got the power that can power a laser platform. The laser platform is going to be done by one of two ways. It's going to either be done by energy storage or energy production, one or the other. And we're taking that leveraging that expertise that we're finding here in Huntsville, Alabama, and we're using that leverage to move us forward. Could I go to the next slide, please? Energy Huntsville's mission. Our mission is to leverage Huntsville's Center of Excellence for Missile and Weapons Systems Technology into the challenges facing the nation's energy conservation, energy management, and the search for innovative energy solutions. That is a big statement. But what that statement says is that, A, we're going to leverage what we know, and we're going to use it in our technology and expertise in what we do in Space and Missile Defense Agency, Army Aviation, Army Material Command, all the way across the board, PEO, missiles, and space. We're going to use that expertise that we learn right here with energy and use it and leverage it into what we turn into Huntsville, Alabama's energy initiative. And we're going to provide for community and industry energy awareness in areas of conservation, renewable energy, and energy oversight and control, and its roles in energy security. And we're going to transfer those, if you notice in the second one, we're transferring the technology strengths. We have been serving Huntsville and North Alabama for years. Economic development and workforce development are a key element of everything that we do. And if we can set ourselves up as having having a center of excellence on energy production, on energy conservation, then we affect not only ourselves, but we affect Redstone Arsenal, and we affect the rest of the DoD world. If we can make sure that we use our technology so that we have generators that can work overseas and in theater that use 25% less fuel capacity. There's less fuel has to be transported to those sites. If we can make sure that we as a community can provide all types of energy conservation methods so that we can meet DoD's new requirements of 25% renewables or a reduction of energy used at each base, then we as a community have met DoD's goals, but we also have met the United States of America's goals, and we have met those goals so that we as a community can move forward. So we start off on June 3rd. We have 40 businesses involved in the Huntsville Energy Project. We have over 15 government and nonprofits. And again, as I said, our mission is just to leverage the expertise that is out there in our community. And you would be amazed at what you find in our community. When you sit there and start talking to people about what is that, what energy companies we have out there. We have companies that are sitting right now consulting with the People's Republic of China on the third generation nuclear plants that they are building over in People's Republic of China. We have an industry sitting here whose 50% of their business comes from certification and test of nuclear facilities. We have an energy group here who has found out how to cut the peak shave off of your energy usage and the energy production by turning off your hot water heater. And you go, boy, how basic does that get? And what would happen on every base throughout the United States if all of a sudden you were able to cut off hot water heaters, still have hot water, but cut off hot water heaters? How much energy would you save across the board at every base? You would find that your consumption was going down in the 10 to 15% range. And that's an amazing, amazing figure to work with. So we as a community are trying to move forward and also provide support for economic growth. For our community, we were named one of the top 10 smartest communities in the world by Forbes magazine. I always say that we use our elected officials to hold down the front end of that bell curve, and we do that on a regular basis. We're also one of those communities, though, that you can go anywhere and you can learn something from someone. One of our energy conversations that we were having, we started talking about nuclear energy, and somebody said, "What about thorium fluoride reactors?" And I did what good mayors do. I just nodded and tried to nod wisely. And right after that conversation was over, I got on my iPhone and I started Googling thorium fluoride reactors. And it's a really fascinating technology. When we went to Oak Ridge and started talking to Oak Ridge about a partnership with Huntsville and how we can work with them on their Department of Energy works, we started talking about thorium fluoride reactors. They weren't as excited as the person I first talked to about it, but they said it is a technology, and it's a technology that needs to be looked at. Next page. Our integrated and collaborative benefits. What we show in Huntsville and what we want to do is we want to put together government, all facets of government, whether it's SMDC, whether it's MDA, PEO Missiles in Space, AMC, any one of the 53 different tenants that sit out at Redstone Arsenal. We want to pull them in and pull their expertise to the table. Academia, when you look across the board at what they're doing at University of Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama A&M, Oakwood University, Auburn University, we want to pull their expertise in. Industry, I just told you some examples of what industry is doing here already, and when we start pulling their expertise in and we put it all together along with the utilities, we end up with a collaborative working group. And the center area right there where it says, I love to do this with my little pointer, where it says industry, really in that center area, it should really be workforce development and jobs, because for us as a community, it gives us a job workforce. It gives us a place for our center of excellence to move forward, and to move forward with a passion, but also with a purpose where we can provide for workforce development in the next 15, 20 years. And let me say this, SMDC, Space and Missile Defense Command, it is what we call the bedrock of our industrial engine. SMDC, MDA, AMC, AMCOM, you look across the board at the 8 or 9 NASA, at the 8 or 9 industries that are sitting out at Redstone Arsenal, and they are the bedrock of our community. This effort in itself helps us step it up so that we can strengthen those foundations. We can take the expertise learned in this industry and apply it to every one of those components of our industrial base that is sitting out at Redstone Arsenal. And then we can even tie it into Hudson Alpha Biotech, where they have life sciences there, and they've found a living organism that collects and holds energy. And when you start talking about the biotech area of collecting and holding energy, again, mayors nod wisely, and then we move off and let the experts move into what they're really doing. I'd like to turn it over.